out here in Whittier, California, on the campus of Whittier College for a January spring football practice where they are bringing back football here coming up in the fall of 2026. Talking with Cory White, the head coach of the Poets here at Whittier. And Coach, of course, Whittier bringing football back. It hasn't been gone for all that long.
No, it hasn't, but it's definitely been missed, I'll tell you that, in the community, and everyone is pretty excited about what's going on.
I mean, you guys dropped football right around the same time that Occidental did. There's a big push here among your alums to bring back the sport, and I know, a lot of that stuff happened before you were hired, obviously, but tell me a little bit about, how that's been and how active those folks have been and that sort of thing.
You couldn't ask for a more active and better fan base, alumni base, and they're 100% the reason why it's coming back. The alumni were very vocal about where they felt the direction of the college was going, and when football was eliminated and they saw some enrollment issues, they decided to speak up, and the board of trustees went with their kind of direction, and the leadership of the college has now got on board, and everyone is 100% pushing for what football brings back to the college.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, we've talked about this for a quarter century practically at d3football.com about, the ways that small schools try to boost their enrollment is by adding football. Obviously the school got rid of it at the end of the 2022 season and, coming back after a fairly short break.
Yeah, the pandemic was something that affected private education. It affected Whittier College. Pre-pandemic, the school was at an all-time high enrollment, and currently we're under 1,000 students. And decisions were made during that time on how to stop the bleeding financially, and one of those things was football, the elimination of football and being such a large line item budget sport. But they didn't see, I think, the total effects, right, of eliminating those students from the student body, the people associated with it. There's a lot of connections, giving from alums and donors, and it all tied together. Yeah. And obviously, I think people have seen there's a different direction to go, and I'm really excited about the direction we're going now.
Well, and so, tell me a little bit about, the process of this, because often when we talk to coaches who are in a situation where they are building a football program from nothing, they have literally nothing. But you don't have nothing. You've got, right behind us, a stadium is still here. The turf is still lined, all of that. How much equipment did you guys have? Did you have to go out and get new stuff? How was that?
That's all part of the equation. Yeah, obviously when they got rid of the program, they thought it was gone. Yeah. They sold the helmets. They sold the sleds. They got rid of the headsets.
No one's using storage space on that, right?
No, the office space was given away to other sports and student lounge. The locker room space was gone. Like, everything had been repurposed. And so bringing it back, there's every element has to be recreated. But that was one of the allures for me, is coming to the job, is being able to put your hand on a little bit of everything. And at the same time, really making sure that the administration understood what that meant to do it correctly and do it the right way. And the president had a mantra that she created of a bring back better. And I hold them to it at every decision. They raised a lot of money to do this, and I'm there to help make sure those funds go to the correct things that are going to help us win football games.
Right. So, making sure that things are getting done the right way. What are some of those things? How is that funding? How's that support getting utilized for you guys right now?
Immediately coming in, we had to create football office space, and maybe I should start over. The immediate decision was staffing, right? Yeah. And a big part of my interview process is we can't do it with the league average or league minimum of coaches, which they are working on before. And I'm really excited that as of today, almost 1 year from when I was hired, we have myself and 4 full-time positions underneath me for football. That's without someone doing a dual strength position, without dual positions. And then we're about to make some really exciting things happen, I think, with some internships and some part-time coaches as well, and hopefully be operating a staff closer to what I've seen at the Division I level than what I'm experienced here in the SCIAC conference, at least.
Right, and so you've been in the SCIAC for quite some time, been at some schools that have had success in this league. What are the things that, aside from what you described, having more than the minimum and that sort of thing, what are the things that you guys need in order to be successful in the conference?
Well, I think, everyone needs full-time football spaces, right?
Yeah.
Full-time football office space, full-time football locker room. We have both those things. We renovated our locker room, and what I think is one of the best ones I've seen in our conference. We're currently in a renovation of our weight room facility, which wasn't originally part of the plan of bringing back football. And again, our alumni and donors stepped up with raising over $500,000 on top of the money they raised to bring back the football program. And we have a Division I weight room facility being built right now. It is just down the street. I can show it to you, and it's going to be outstanding.
I look forward to that, and maybe I don't know if we'll get some of that footage into the video version of this. Obviously, you won't see it on the audio version of the podcast. Go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. All right, so you've got a few dozen student athletes out here. I know I saw on the Whittier Athletics website talk of a little over 2 dozen of a class of guys coming in right now, but of course that doesn't include some. Did you have, for example, probably not any former student athletes still here in the student body that you could re-recruit, right?
No, actually, when I came in, it had been long enough. When they dropped the program, most of the students left.
Sure.
The few that stuck around to finish their degree were maybe 1 year or so left.
Right.
There were 0 athletes from the previous program. There were 0 coaches from the previous program.
Right.
There were very few actually even administrators in athletics that were here.
Okay.
Besides, I'm not talking about my athletic director and our associate athletic director, but there was a lot of turnover during that time.
Okay.
So the image of what Whittier College football didn't really have an imprint in the athletic department. And that's something I think was positive, because the program wasn't trending in the right direction the last decade or so before it was eliminated. But we got an amazing tradition, 26 conference championships, the most in the SCIAC all time. And we haven't won one since 1998 when Coach Owens got back-to-back titles. But
Bob Owens, who just retired at Chapman about a year ago, right?
Yeah, Coach O, great man, a mentor of mine. Worked for him. He was my offensive coordinator my senior year at college. Anyhow, great tradition at Whittier, and it's something that we really talk about. And the guys who stepped up to make this possible, the alumni, the donors, are the people that were here in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, when they were winning championships over and over and over again.
Yeah. Talk about excitement just in the SCIAC in general, of course, because not only are you guys bringing football back, but Azusa Pacific is coming into the league. They are bringing football back as well. It's been gone maybe a few years longer than your guys' program has been gone. And that gets you, instead of being at 6 teams and, having to play, some conference opponents twice, it's a 8-team league. Feels a lot stronger, just, even though you guys will be, brand new programs again.
Yeah, definitely. I think you talk to the other coaches in the league, and guys, I've known a lot of these guys for a long time, right?
Yeah.
From being, my time working at Chapman, my time at University of San Diego, and a native of Southern California. These coaches, and I think everyone's very optimistic about our conference right now, the strength of it, the sustainability of it, which was maybe in question for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And in California, West Coast in general, sustainability of small college football was an issue.
Right.
But we really feel good about what we have now. And all of our universities and colleges are extremely stable. Okay. They're all ones that have a great academic reputation in one area or another, and our athletic programs are going to be to match.
Talk about how the Division III brand is kind of seen in California. California, obviously a gigantic state. There's no D3 football programs in the northern part of the state. The SCIAC is the only conference here in this part of the state. And we have always, I say we who are not, of the the 8 schools or so in Southern California have always felt like it seems like the competition is like the 2-year schools and that sort of thing in this area.
Yeah, it is different. Growing up in San Diego, I never even know Division III football existed.
Yeah,
it just doesn't exist. And San Diego to Los Angeles, maybe 90 minutes down the highway, but it's a completely different world. We're in Los Angeles up here. The population is so dense. There's many folks that don't know that Division III football exists here, and there are 10 Division III schools right here in Southern California, 8 of them playing football. Yeah, it's just unique. The California junior college system is fantastic. I'm a product of it. I played 2 years of it, and it's the dominant area for guys that aren't going Division I football. simply because of the cost and the amount
And there's
of
not a
schools that are
ton
out
of,
there.
or there's not a ton of D2 in California with football anymore either, right?
No, there's none. It does not exist. I played Division II football in California at Humboldt State. At the time, it was the only Division II football program in California. Azusa Pacific switched to Division II football. There were two for a while.
Yeah.
Then Humboldt went extinct. Actually, when I was back there coaching right around that time, it was just challenging. And it's a place, when I was in high school in the 90s, there was Division II football in Northern California, but they were all shutting down one after another. And it was a dark time, you could say, for college football in California.
So, we'll talk about your the guys that you have out here now. And again, I'm just going to step to the side, and you can get a general idea of what we're talking about here. 7 months before the first game starts, how did these guys find Whittier, or how did you find these guys?
Yeah.
What's their kind of path to being on the Poets roster?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kids in Southern California, right? There's a lot of talented kids in Southern California.
There's a lot of people in Southern California in general, right?
And all over the West, with
Yeah.
limited places for guys that may not necessarily be Division I athletes,
Right.
but they have the desire to play college football, and they're looking for an educational experience that's not of the 2-year college, junior college. And that's really where we focused. And, so just trying to get guys that are looking for something higher academically, that wanted to stay in Southern California and not leave the area, be closer to family. And we had a lot of success,
Yeah. I'm going to say, I mean, I'm going to be honest here. This conversation will air a couple of weeks from now, but it's January 23rd, and it is beautiful out here. I left Minneapolis, St. Paul when it was literally 22 degrees below zero this morning. You come out here and it's a cool day. It's only like 68 degrees, which is 90 degrees warmer than what I left. I can imagine this is all to illustrate your point of, a kid who grows up in Southern California may well want to stay here.
Yeah, this is a hard winter's day in SoCal right now. I've got a sweatshirt on, I'm wearing sweatpants.
That is true.
And most of us these guys are out here upset that I didn't issue out the cold gear. No, but the reality is there's several young men behind me that were at schools in the Midwest or schools back east that are from SoCal and realize that's not where they want to be. And it took a semester, and part of it is lack of opportunity coming out of high school. They want to be recruited. They want to play at the 4-year college level.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lure of something new. We have a young man that transferred here from the Boston area, a Division III school. We have a young man that transferred here from Kentucky. We have a young man that transferred here from the Nebraska area. All from SoCal.
Okay.
All went out there and then realized that, if they want to live the rest of their life in California, they want to establish themselves in Southern California, they want to go to college in Southern California. They want to get a degree from a college in Southern California, build an alumni network, get some connections in the industries they want to be in, and really saw that this is the place that they wanted to be. And the sunny weather helps.
Oh, absolutely. Is the transfer portal helpful for you guys right now? I have to imagine the sales pitch on, I would think, being able to play right away or being able to have the opportunity to play right away certainly has to be a big attraction.
Yeah, I wish we could use the portal more, honestly. I'm having a lot of conversations with the vice president of enrollment here and some of the uppers of the college about getting a winter session January term in so that we could push our start of our spring semester back to February.
Right, because you have to get kids literally enrolled. This is still school. We know this, right?
Yes, it is. This is different, right?
Right.
So we started classes here 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
That's a very tight window to get guys, once they realize they're in the portal and they're not getting the opportunity they wanted at the higher level, to talk them into getting here in a week's time. We were successful on some. That's a challenging window. So really trying to talk to the college about assisting us in all of our athletics with a longer period between the 2 semesters.
It seems to me like that is one of the things that we talked about at the top of this conversation, right? It's like how does the university do things differently in order to support this program, other new athletic programs that are coming, or in general the kind of enrollment changes that it seems like need to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're open to ideas. And that was one of the things when I was interviewing. I had a great job. I didn't have to leave my job.
Yeah.
But I want to be a head coach. I really like Division III athletics. I like small college football. I like the interactions I get with students, and I like the fact that students are coming to the college because they want to graduate from that college, not so much get the paycheck from the football team. The leadership here, they're very open to some of the ideas I had about how we can advance this and make it a better place with some of the things I've seen in different places. So it's been very encouraging.
I have to ask, do you guys have Myron Claxton's shoes? Where are the shoes?
They're currently in my office. I
All
look
right.
at them every morning.
Good.
We pull them out every recruiting event, and we talk about the great history of the Oxy Whittier football tradition.
Yeah.
And Myron and all the great players, Richard Nixon and the guys that came, before.
Right. I was thinking, if nothing else, I don't remember who won the last Whittier Occidental game, but you guys stayed in the game a little longer than Occidental did, so at the very least you should have the shoes.
Well, I can tell you it was Whittier College. The last two matchups, Whittier with the victory.
Okay, well, there you go. On the flip side, though, I mean, when you guys do take the field, you will go back to having a 23-game losing streak. Does anybody care about that? Does that not matter at all? Does that not matter until September? Any thoughts about that?
The only people that really know about it and that are reminded about it every day are the gentlemen behind us.
Okay.
And it's something we talk about quite a bit. It's changing the perception of Whittier football within our conference. I would imagine the coaches in our league are using that same ammunition on the other side, but it is definitely something that we're conscious of. But at the same time, we talk about what Whittier was and what we can be, and we're building a vision of what we want it to be.
Also on this trip, we're talking with AJ Parnell, head coach over at Azusa Pacific. Considering you guys are in similar situations, is there any knowledge sharing or stuff that you guys talk about in terms of the challenges you might be going through in terms of the logistics of bringing football back and that sort of thing?
Yeah, AJ and I have talked. I reached out to him really quickly after he was named the head coach over there. I had a connection that was able to give me his number. And, he's got his own things going on, and our colleges are similar but different, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't cross as much as you might think in the recruiting trail.
Okay.
And just the guys who are interested in his program and his university, right, and what they offer students versus Whittier. But no, there's a lot of guys I leaned on to get this job, and then now that I have the job, about what decisions to make. Whether Ben McEnroe, the former head coach at Cal, he was my position coach at Humboldt State. Okay. Coach O at Chapman, Casey, who's now the interim at Chapman. There's, Dale Lindsay, who was my head coach at the University of San Diego. I mean, all guys that have get a lot of great perspective on what winning non-scholarship football looks like in Southern California.
Talk about University of San Diego for a second. This is more just for maybe our general enlightenment. The Pioneer League doesn't give football scholarships, but of course it has the name Division I attached to it. So we assume that there's a general higher class of student athlete. In a lot of cases at those schools, sometimes the head-to-head between someone like Butler and someone like Franklin or whatever in Indiana still feels like those are pretty close. What's your kind of expert opinion on where the Pioneer League, since for those who don't know, that is a D1 FCS conference that does not give athletic scholarships, and it's a football only conference. So football doesn't have football. Those football players are non-scholarship just like everybody else here. How far apart are we really?
It's funny you say that, and I would have told you before the transfer portal, it was an enormous gap.
Yeah.
The times I was at University of San Diego and before the portal, and when we were just dominating that conference, we were able to go out and evaluate talent, recruit talent in, and they couldn't go, right? They could not leave. And I think about Dalton Kincaid is someone that we found there, we had in there. Okay. Well, he's a first-round NFL draft pick for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Before the portal, he couldn't leave us.
Right.
Ross Dwelly's another one. You go down and there's Jamal Agnew. We had numerous, NFL starters there on that roster because we could find them. Mm-hmm. I think in that conference, unfortunately now, if you're able to find that talent's
don't stay.
It's going to be found by somebody else looking at your roster.
Yeah, I always feel like the top couple of teams are going to be better than the ones in Division 3, but man, and I'm not going to name names because the names change from year to year, but of course we saw University of St. Thomas leave Division 3 and go to where they were a top 10 team most years, and then go into the PFL and be middle of the pack to, maybe upper middle of the pack. But yeah, I feel like I can understand where the top schools in that league, and obviously USD has been one of them over a number of recent years, have to be demonstrably better.
Yeah, it was an easy place to recruit people to.
Because San Diego?
The San Diego doesn't hurt, but the facilities are fantastic.
Okay.
You're in a major town, right?
You get to travel. You get to have the feel of being in a major college
100%.
program.
100%.
Yeah.
And that, in a lot of ways, was very attractive, right? And then you were getting matchups against Cal Poly. We were playing Harvard. We'd play Princeton. Yeah. So you could really use those things to an advantage in the recruiting battles.
I know you guys are playing a 10-game schedule coming up this fall. One of them is what is probably officially a scrimmage by Division III standards against an international program. But, the SCIAC has had, first of all, so many times it's a 9-game schedule. And a lot of that is because it's just hard to get to find that 10th game, in your guys' case now a third non-conference opponent, because there's nobody else down here. Aside from this year, are you guys going to be able to maintain 10-game schedules going forward?
Yeah, actually, we have some exciting news as a conference.
Okay.
We are going to be playing 8 conference games.
Okay.
And we are keeping what they call championship weekend in the SCIAC. So
All right.
will play everyone in the conference one time. And then for the last week of the regular season, we will seat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way down. And the conference champion will be determined by the winner of the 1-2 game. And it's a great way to keep budgets where you like them, right?
Yeah.
It's a great way to maintain competitive balance on your schedule if you're going to play somebody twice. And it just creates a ton of energy around a conference championship game. And it's something that's so common now in the Division I level that people see on television, right? When you're talking about the Big 12 championship game or the SEC championship game, we have the SCIAC championship game, and it's really, really big. We have a scheduling agreement with the Northwest Conference.
Okay.
So you're really
that's
just
one
looking
more.
for 2 games every year, but one's guaranteed already, and you just kind of match it around. So.
All right. Yeah, I can see where, obviously at the top there are, NPI implications, which is a word I didn't want to have to say in January, but we can discuss those much later. Does that start in 26?
I believe so.
All right. Well, so more about that to come. So obviously, number 1 versus number 2. This is now just me talking to the audience for a second. We'll probably do good things for the winners NPI, because they'll have played another highly successful opponent a second time. And then for someone who's, in the middle of the pack, or anyone who's not 1 and 2, where the championship itself is not on the line, you still have most likely a very even match that will allow someone to, if nothing else, go into the offseason with a little bit of momentum.
100%. And we really looked at it as coaches around the conference. It's a great way to keep your program motivated. If potentially you drop 1 or 2 games in the conference early, you could still end up at the championship game. This year, Cal Lutheran played Chapman in the championship game.
Right.
They played a different format during the regular season.
Right.
Chapman had a hell of a year going, but Cal Lu gave them everything they wanted in that championship game.
True. Yeah.
And I think talking to Casey over at Chapman, it felt like it really sharpened his team to get ready to go into the playoffs.
I'm not expecting you to be the expert on this, nor for this even necessarily to be on the record, but he's going to keep that job, right?
I sure hope so. I can't imagine them making a mistake that bad and not keeping that coaching staff around.
Yeah, a great season for Chapman, and of course, getting and advancing out of the first round of the playoffs, which is not something that always happens, trying to play your way off of the West Coast. All right, so you've got a few dozen student athletes out here in January of 26. How many more? Is it another 70? What's your kind of ideal number for guys to have on the roster when camp opens in August?
Yeah, I think we can be in the 80s. I do.
Okay.
We're at 53 right now. We brought in a group of class of 2025.
53 is a lot.
But yeah, we brought in 2025 kids last fall.
Where are the rest of them?
It's class.
They're in class,
Unfortunately, we still deal with classes out here. Here they come jogging in right now.
All right.
But no, so we brought in a nice group of 2025 class kids who did a D3 development year, right? We without a year of just lifting.
They don't get charged a year of eligibility.
And we really sold that message of a chance to come in here and lift and get bigger, faster, stronger to potentially play for multiple years of your college experience. Then we just brought in over 20 athletes at the mid-year that are from the portal or junior college. And then we're gonna hit the 2026 class. And hopefully I'm shooting in the 30s, maybe 40 athletes of 2026.
Isn't 53 probably more than the program had when it went away a few years ago?
You know, I don't know those numbers for sure, but I've heard that they were small. The one thing I'll tell you, just watching Whittier from a distance when I wasn't here, Coach Neal had big numbers, right? He would bring in guys. He had very talented players.
Yeah.
I just don't think he had the resources given to him to develop them the way they need to be developed and to retain them the way you need to retain to win football games. Winning in our league is about retention. And Chapman, Claremont, Pomona, they retain the best, and they tend to win.
And I think especially with Claremont and Pomona, the institutions themselves are places you really, really want to be if you are, a top-notch student and top-notch student athlete.
No, I totally agree.
All right. So, what's on the rest of the to-do list between now and when camp opens?
We got to buy some more equipment. we're just designing uniforms this morning.
Okay.
We got to recruit. No, we got to recruit, and we got to develop. I tell my staff all the time, if we didn't recruit or develop today, you wasted the day. And that's 7 days a week. We are making a conscious effort to spend every day in those two areas, whether we're trying to attract people to campus to come see what we have. We're trying to get those people then to deposit, apply, then deposit, and then develop, like you're seeing with it going on behind us, is getting them here and giving them the coaching and the nutrition, the strength development, every part that's going to make us successful going into 2026.
And then what does spring ball look like for you guys? Because I think we're really dealing with a strength and conditioning, more of a workout rather than what I would consider a spring practice. So when does that happen? You know, if you've got 53 guys, you've got a good number of guys to work with, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited because last time I was in Division III, spring practice didn't have equipment. You know, it's really changed. Now, there's still a lot of limitations on this level.
Sure.
And you know, we all know, strength training versus practice, right? And the things that you can do.
Yeah.
But we're not arguing where we're going. I'm hoping that we'll get those limitations taken off us as a division 100% one of these days. I don't know why we would have a different, developmental rules here than we would at a higher division,
or really just for one sport at the Division III level, right?
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But those are things that are out of our control, right? So within the rules that we have, we're going to maximize, and I really look forward to putting those helmets on, those shoulder pads when we can for those 4 critical days, and see what we can make happen.
With kind of a class and a half in, or whatever you would consider the guys you have here now, do you have like your quarterback? Do you have your key guys? Are you still recruiting for every position? What is the early depth chart kind of look like, just in general terms?
No, we're still recruiting everywhere. We have quarterbacks. I like them. I know they do some great things. We have some very established players. What I'm trying to figure out is who are all the big pieces that we have. I couldn't even tell you. We get the question all the time, what offense are you going to run?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the offense that's built around the best players that I have. It could be 4 wide receivers. It could be 3 tight ends. I mean, you tell me. Maybe I get a quarterback that can't throw the ball, which that's not the case, and we're just going to run +1 run game all day long.
Right, yeah.
But no, we're not going to limit ourselves to say we are this kind of offense. We are going to run the offense that best fits our personnel.
It's Cory White, the head coach at Whittier College here in Whittier, California, getting ready to retake the field coming up in just a few months for the 2026 season.